Well, KB Home cutting its revenue outlook for the year after reporting weak second quarter results. This is the housing market. It remains sluggish, with existing home sales seeing their worst May since 2009. Joining me now, we've got Meredith Whitney Advisory Group CEO. Meredith, good to have you back on Yahoo Finance with us. We just heard remarks from Fed Chair Jerome Powell that he plans to keep rates on hold. So what is the risk that poses to the housing market?
Well, the housing market looks like it's going to be up for its worst year in decades. So last year, 2024 was bad. The prior year, 2023 was bad. We're on pace for about 4 million units of existing sales this year. And I think actually we're going to come below that. That's significantly below estimates. And that poses a real problem for the general economy because it's such a big contributor to GDP. So not only do you have when someone when a family moves, they buy a lot of furniture, do renovations, spend at Home Depot. The NAR estimates that it's about over 14% of U.S. GDP comes from home sales. So it has ripple effects across the board. I think that the Fed is in a tough spot, and I don't think the housing industry is going to benefit because you have I think wage inflation and real inflation from goods inflation, and then you have a slowdown in the economy. So we don't expect the housing market to improve that much, if at all. We think it's going to weaken throughout the year.
What role does the generation that is still kind of sitting on homes, locked in low interest rates? We've heard that the baby boomer and the kind of silver tsunami even generation is less likely, according to some of the recent surveys from Redfin as well, to actually sell their homes or list their homes because they are in such a sweet spot right now. How much of that is also impacting the equation?
You bring up a great point. So we estimate that over 60% of existing homes are owned by households over 60. And what you see now is the AARP cites that they want to age in place. And what's more, the Joint Center for Housing Studies at Harvard says that only 1 in 10 seniors can afford assisted living. So they're in a situation where they can't afford to move. They want to stay in place. And a very, very surprising trend is that seniors are taking out equity in their homes, which they have a lot of, to be able to stay in their homes, make renovations, to be able to safely age in place and afford, hopefully, if there are any workers left, at-home care.
Additionally here, Meredith, since we're talking about the generational breakdown here, you think about so many of the new home buyers, first-time home buyers, and I think about millennials as well here, who are also still much of the generation, and Gen Zers who are starting to become first-time home buyers as well, saddled with student loan debt. This has been something that's called out upon the banking sector outlook. I was taking a look at Apollo chief economist Torsten Slock's outlook here, saying that student loan repayments are actually going to push many borrowers or repayers into default. And so that could be happening soon. That could impact wage garnishment as well. To the extent that overflows into the housing scenario, what kind of picture are we looking at as a knock-on effect?
Well, I look at that split in generations as the avocado toast generation. It's people between 24 and 38, and they don't own homes for the most part because they can't afford to own homes. But what they have been doing has been spending all of their discretionary income. And of course, not owning a home, you have more discretionary income. It's been cheaper to rent than it has been to own homes because of escalating property insurance and property taxes. So you're going to see spending from the avocado toast generation that has been with the high-end generation really like driving this, the high-end consumer really driving this economy. That's going to slow down. And I think Torsten's right about student loans. Now, the other issue is when a consumer loses skin in the game, and there's been such a forbearance for student loans for so long that once they are required to pay the student loans again, there's somewhat of a shock to the system, and there's a natural default cycle. Versus if they were paying a minimum amount into this down for their student debt. I think that's just consumer trend that you see in so many so many lending products. But student loans, 1.6 trillion outstanding, is going to be a big bite for the economy for sure.
You've got a compounding of issues that home buyers are thinking about right now, whether that is how much they're going to be paying for a home and the affordability of it, as either driven by what tariff policy flow through or the input costs for wages could mean, especially as we're seeing a crackdown on immigration. And then additionally, just where they would like to live, of course, in location itself. All of those things considered, is the dream of owning a home, is it still attainable for those who are really trying to figure out where they can get the best bang for their buck right now?
Well, where people want to live, it happens to be the most expensive properties. If you want to move to Erie, Pennsylvania, you could probably afford a home. If you want to move to parts of Ohio, you could probably afford a home. But where people want to live is there's a shortage of housing supply, and you have a combination of high home prices and high rates. Typically, when rates go up, values go down. That's the how the math works, and that has not happened. So rates have gone up. How home prices continue to go up, and actually, there's not that much activity, and that's what's keeping the home prices skewed towards the high end. The low end, there's very little activity. So people with means are moving, and people without are staying put and struggling to stay and age in place.
As we think about what's working its way through Congress right now, and what's been called by President Trump the big beautiful bill, does there need to be more of an effort to incentivize home purchasing?
Look, I think that home purchasing is good for any economy and any socialization, right? You put down roots. You're committed to the community. You're committed to paying your loans. You're committed to holding down a job. It has so many good things. Now, I just don't think that this environment, and also people are the 5 Ds, diamonds, diapers, divorce, forget what the four, and death.
Yeah.
Those aren't happening because people are putting off getting married. So what you see is single women are buying homes, but married couples are that dream is being put on ice.
Yeah. Meredith, thank you so much for taking the time here with us today. We got to sprint to the opening bell. Thank you.
Great questions. Thank you.